We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
And we are back for one more shot at you on our roundtable discussion on the state of liberty and order circa 2022, joined by Liberty Nation's Power Triangle economics correspondent Andrew Moran, legal affairs editor Scott Cosenza, I should say, and socio-political correspondent Jeff Charles. So, how significant will Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter be to the future of liberty? I'm going to ask you first, Jeff.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's already been great. And Elon Musk it's funny because Elon Musk hasn't done a whole heck of a lot because he just took over about a month ago. But even in that short time period, he has made Twitter more fun, more free. And people who are not part of the censorship crowd, the pro-censorship crowd, are loving it. And I think that he's even winning over people who were leery of him at first. Because if you remember, shortly after he took over, a lot of advertisers paused their advertising. Well, it was just announced last week that Apple and Amazon have come back to the table. Elon Musk went to meet with Tim Cook of Apple. And so the attacks are still coming from the predictable sources. But in general, I think people are liking the platform more. I mean, especially from a liberty perspective. But even if you look at victims of child sex trafficking, he has tamped down on that more in that 1 month than the prior leadership did in years. He has gone leaps and bounds beyond what his predecessors did, and he's not even through yet. So overall, I believe the term is bullish on Elon Musk and liberty and Twitter, because I really think that he is creating a new platform for people to express ideas, but not even just for free speech, even for more offerings. He's talking about competing with YouTube, having more long-form videos, allowing for more of those Twitter spaces as well. So as the Liberty Nation's resident Twitter addict, I am very much optimistic about this.
Well, Andrew can take some credit too. Of course, he gets paid to follow Twitter, but nevertheless, he does a fantastic job of it. But, let's go to Scott for a second. Scott, socialism used to be a dirty word in American politics for decades during the Soviet era and the rise of Mao in China and all of that, in Eastern Europe and the Iron Curtain. Is socialism still a dirty word now?
Sadly, no. The beautiful Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Tim, has gone a long way with her Democratic Socialists of America, I think, as one of the groups that she claims membership in. And they've gone a long way to kind of soften it over. And, of course, with a compliant press who is made up largely of people who are, I won't call, all mainstream press members socialists, but they definitely have a sympathy towards socialist policies, I think, in a lot of instances. And they also see those policies, as I view those big box media players from the outside. They think it's a nice thing to kind of help along people that aren't doing well. And based on their preferences for that kind of paternalistic behavior, they're favoring, putting their fingers on the scale. And so it just sort of aids socialistic ideas. And so, no, we've got to bring it back. The hate, Tim, for socialism and its policies and the name itself. It is about stealing from people, stealing from your neighbors on this side of the street to give to the neighbors on that side of the street because you think it's a good idea. And if it's a good idea, you should just convince them.
Legalized theft is, you saying it's legalized theft, Scott?
Yes. Calvin Coolidge
Absolutely
said that. So let's talk about the media for a second, guys. Andrew, thought experiment here. How would the country be different if we had, instead of a predominantly liberal big media, a truly balanced, impartial fourth estate, as envisioned when the press was given broad protections in the First Amendment to the Constitution?
Well, before I answer, I just like I mentioned about something about Jeff. I can't disagree with anything he said, but I would say that you should be cautious about Elon Musk's Everything app on Twitter. So I'll let our listeners research what I'm talking about. As opposed to your question, it's hard to say just because what is journalism? What is media? Is it just repeating what the government says and letting people decide for themselves what's right and what's wrong? Is it just acting as stenographers? Is it challenging the big government? I mean, you look at when I think of journalism, I think of Julian Assange. I think of what he did and expose the government and what happened. He got thrown in jail, or he thrown in down beneath the low and just being buried in darkness. So but the balanced press, it's hard to see what that is. I think it's just best to look at all these different sources, come up with your own conclusions, read between the lines. I think there's a great quote from George Carlin when he said, "There's three things I do in life. I don't listen to the government, I don't trust the press, and I think to myself." And I think that's the greatest model everyone should have in life.
Okay, I'm going to have to write that one down and then follow it. Jeff, one of the things that's been big in the news lately is critical race theory, which essentially divides the country into victims and perpetrators. How far will this toxic theory go, do you think? Or is broad pushback likely to reverse the trend? And if so, will it happen anytime soon?
Right now, it is hard to tell. Those who are proposing elements of critical race theory in schools, in the military, and in other institutions seem to have the upper hand. I'm sorry. And the issue for people who oppose what critical race theory teaches, they're behind, because they didn't realize this stuff was going on. Over the past decade or so, they've been pushing this in K through 12 classrooms, especially in public schools. Now they've got it into other institutions. It's even in the media, and even in corporate America. But there is a backlash, and it appears to be growing, especially on the school front, but even in a wider sense. There are people who are pushing back against these ideas. I'm not sure which side will win out. Long term, that's what the nation's really going to be seeing coming up. But I think it's going to be the side who addresses the problems that CRT claims to be addressing.
So, Scott, critical race theory, the left says it doesn't exist. There are no courses, critical race theory. It's a myth. And it's true, there are no courses in it. In fact, it's worse than that, because it's included in every single curriculum. It sort of runs through as a theme in curricula, doesn't it?
Tim, when I was in college, we had a really good program which was called Writing Across the Curriculum. It was a measure to increase the writing skill of all the students. And the idea was, if you have a science class, you should require at least a paragraph, on the exam about something, and just it should be in every place throughout the curriculum in order to build up. And that's unstated what they've done with critical race theory. It is across the curriculum. There is no, there was a Libs of TikTok clip I saw this week of an English teacher who was denigrating the rules of English and calling them a racist, as somehow race had anything to do with the construction of the rules of English. But I just want to say one thing about your earlier question, when you said that you called the media liberal, and I just want to say that I disagree with that entirely.
I know.
It is statist and it is establishment, but it's not liberal, because liberals would say to that lone kayaker on the beach in California, why would you arrest this person? That's madness. That's what a liberal would say.
You're right. But at the same time, I can also say that it doesn't seem like there are too many old-time liberals left anymore, as evidenced by the free speech movement at Berkeley in the 1960s, coming full circle now to where the same
Matt Hentoff
crowd
is dead in more ways than one.
Yes, it's the same crowd now that wanted.
There is Matt Taibbi, though.
Yeah, well, we can thank God for him, because he is a truly honest, independent journalist. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much. That's it for our power panel discussion. Our thanks to Andrew Moran and Scott Cosenza and Jeff Charles. I'm Tim Donner. Mark Angelides will be back in the host seat next week. In the meantime, remember to go to libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.
We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides. Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5. Produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone. Hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner. Joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors. Deconstructing leftist narratives. Debating the hot topics. And remembering to laugh.
You heard it here first.
Join the official conservative safe
You only
space.
did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.